Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
I once asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad if Master W. Farad Muhammad continues to study, and he answered me in the affirmative. So what excuse do we have not to study? According to the history of Jesus and his mother, also given to us to study by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a sign of our evolving and developing community, we read that mathematics was the #1 subject that the prophet or the wise man required of Jesus to begin teaching him how to tune in. This knowledge was given to him to protect him in his mission against the plot of the enemies who sought to take his life. Mary and Joseph also had the ability to tune in. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that 1 in every 100 of our people in the East also have this ability. The prophet began teaching Jesus, and because he was quick in learning, he mastered this teaching in 3 lessons. Then he tested Jesus' ability to tune in by giving him the greeting, Assalamu alaikum, to which Jesus responded, Wa alaikum salam. When the angel Jibril revealed the first revelation of the Holy Qur'an to Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, he revealed it within a mathematical context in which letters, words, verses, and chapters are all mathematically coded. The Holy Qur'an was later arranged also by revelation in the chapter sequence that we read today. We will note that the angel Jibril also appeared to Mary in the 19th surah, which carries her name, in exactly 19 verses, 16 through 24, announcing the birth of Jesus and some words about his future work and mission, which comes all the way down to us today. Happiness, brothers and sisters, is the removal of stress. When we have the right understanding about ourselves and others and the world in which we live. If we look at paragraph 1, where the word stress is applied to our assignment, it may be neglect of duty or default in duty, which produces the stress-related ailments that we're suffering today because we do not have the right understanding of ourselves, nor our relationship to God, nor our relationship to others, and to our relationship to the rest of the world. As we stay fully committed and focused on our assignment and mission, given in the details of the 13 paragraphs and in the body of our lessons, we will learn how to live happy and productive lives. And everything we touch will literally turn into gold. We are guaranteed that the restrictive law, when enforced, is our success. I have correlated the 10th system, the brain, to the supreme wisdom lessons, beginning with 10 questions and answers of student enrollment, which introduces us to the knowledge of God and the knowledge of self. From the very first question and answer, who is the original man? This means that God himself is the brain of all operations that make all the other 9 systems of the body work effectively. The first mention of the word brain appears in lesson number 2, question and answer 28, with a reference to Yaqub's grafting of the white race. The nurse stuck a needle in the brain of the black baby at birth, putting him to sleep, which is the condition of the black man and people today and all over the planet Earth. There is a parable in the Bible given in John chapter 21, verses 1 through 14, concerning Jesus' disciples who are being taught a lesson by Jesus on how to be fishers of men. They were throwing their nets rather haphazardly into the water from the boat, trying to catch fish. Jesus instructed them from the seashore to cast their nets on the right side of the boat. When following these instructions, they caught 153 fish and brought them to shore. It is interesting to note that if we take the 153 fish and add Jesus himself, the sum is 154, which is exactly equal to the number of questions and answers in our lessons. And I'm footnoting here for us to look at paragraph 3 of instructions for further details from our Savior Allah. But just in general, it states that the use of these lessons given to us to study by Master Farad Muhammad must be used at all time with the new converts. It is the bait by which we will catch the fish. And we must prove at all times that our Savior Allah has come to deliver us, the end of this present civilization and the beginning of a new civilization which will be ruled by people who will uphold justice, freedom, and equality, and will be made the new rulers of an entire new world civilization. This parable may be compared to the catching and processing of the new converts to Islam, who are being raised from the dead. The means and methods in raising the dead have varied throughout the years, but the foundation of our recruiting effort is found in the use, practice, and application of the language in the proper terms, with the use of the lessons of the supreme wisdom, which must be used in the resurrection of the mentally dead. These lessons are designed and patterned from the mind and thinking of God, transmitted to his chosen servants, the prophets, as a guide for others. In the ancient land of our fathers, in Egypt, there stands in the middle and on the border thereof the great pyramid of Giza, that remains to this day as the only remaining seventh wonder of the world. It was constructed on 13 acres of land, a few miles outside of Cairo. Its original casing stones, which was made out of pure white limestone, are equal to 22 acres. Every measurement was built and designed by the architect to measure in stone a history of the world of the last 6,000 years and beyond into the 7th millennium. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad first drew my attention to the study of the Great Pyramid and its mathematical measurements when he stated to some of his followers and family members at the dinner table that if we wanted to get a picture of how our ancient civilizations were built, that we should study the monuments in Egypt. The number of fish, 153, mentioned in John chapter 21, is also contained within the measurements of the Great Pyramid. As one enters on the north side of the Great Pyramid, on the 19th cornerstone, you have to move left 286.1 pyramid inches. This number of pyramid inches appears in many places in the measurements of the stones and the inner passages that leads upwards to the truncated platform where there is a missing capstone. This number of pyramid inches, 286.1, is called the displacement factor. In order to correct this movement to the left, which implies deviation or sinister in Latin, one must turn to the right, counting that same measurement of pyramid inches to get back on track. This leads the initiate or student to higher wisdom on the path to becoming a master. It is interesting to note that the second chapter of the Holy Quran, entitled Al-Baqarah, the cow, contains exactly 286 verses and speaks of the deviation of the followers of Moses. Inside the Great Pyramid, there are ascending and descending passageways which are measured according to the alignment of specific stars. This knowledge was given to us also from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He stated that the pyramid was built in alignment to the stars, and that in order to destroy the pyramid and its meaning and its sign, you would have to destroy the stars to which they are aligned. He also taught us that the building of the pyramid was done by a mechanical mean of a hydraulic, water to push the stones into place. And that at this particular time, that instrument has been hidden lest our open enemies discover its use and be able to prolong and extend their civilization. When we pass through the Grand Gallery that is constructed with 7 tiers inside of the pyramid, we have an uplift that raises up beyond the stooped position that we're in when we reach those ascending or descending passageways. We come exactly 286.1 pyramid inches up so that we can really start taking a breath and keep moving in the direction of the truncated pyramid. We come then to a horizontal passage that leads to the king's chamber, located on the 50th, counting from the foundation up, to the 50th cornerstone. From the 50th cornerstone to the pyramid's platform, we measure another 153 cornerstones. Pay attention to the word course, because this is going to come up later as we move into the second part of my presentation, the word course and courses. We will note the recurrence of this number 153, which referred to the number of fish that were caught by 7 disciples in the parable of Jesus and the fishermen. Now let us suppose that the missing capstone represents Christ himself. It is believed that the construction of the capstone was never done, though there are some who believe that it was originally made out of gold, and some believe that it was originally made out of crystal, that it was never really made at all. It was left there and designed by the architect to represent the Christ in the millennial age. And it was also there to represent a people who had been rejected, like the rejected stone that we read of in scriptures. So if then we say that this capstone represents Christ in his glory, and we add together the 153 cornerstones that led from the king's chamber to that truncated pyramid, we come exactly to the lesson code again, 154. When 154 is divided by 7, we get 22/7, which represents the fraction of pi. And among our ancient people of Egypt, they use fractions and not decimals. So you can read it as a decimal, 3.14 they generally give, or 3.1459, and we know it goes on into infinity and they can't find the end of it. They cannot round that off. But let us see later what we can do with a fraction. As we review our entrance into the pyramid, we will recall that it was on the 19th cornerstone, which answers to the mathematical code of the Holy Qur'an. And we also found that the second chapter, the very second chapter, Baqarah, the longest chapter in the Holy Qur'an, contains exactly 286 verses, which represents the deviation and also the correction to get back on track. The Bible, too, in this specific instance, also answers to the mathematical code of 19. We read exactly in Isaiah 19, verses 19 and 20, a reference to the building of this monument, the Great Pyramid, standing in the middle of Egypt and on the border thereof. This hidden wisdom is contained in the use of letters and numbers and words that is a part of the Jewish numerical system called gematria, or gematria, I think it is gematria, where letters, the Hebrew letters, were identified and used as numbers, which as a point of reference the rabbis concealed, which is called the Kabbalah and other Talmudic writings, but they knew the deeper secret meaning of these scriptural passages. And ultimately what happens is that as they added up the letters and the words that comprise the 19th verse of chapter 19 of Isaiah, it comes to 5,449. Now what is interesting is that is the exact height of the Great Pyramid that takes you to the truncated part, which means that there's something missing.